Jones Dairy Farm is a seventh-generation family-owned and operated company located in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. For more than 135 years, Jones has been using real, natural ingredients, original recipes, and time-honored traditions to create distinctive and timeless products. Jones is known for producing premium, all-natural breakfast sausage, naturally smoked hams and Canadian bacon, all-natural meatballs, and dry-aged bacon. All certified gluten-free. Want to get in on some of the magic and fun of the season? There are only a few nights left to experience the zoo after hours under the glow of over 1 million lights. Yes, I'm talking about Zoo Lights at Henry Vilas Zoo. It's $12 for single tickets or 4 for $40, and kids under 3 are free. Runs from now until December 23rd. Don't miss this year's Zoo Lights. Start a special holiday tradition with your family. Get tickets today at henryvilaszoo.gov/lights. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, it's the Friday News Roundup, and it's our last one of the year. Joining me today for this amazing, momentous thing we do every Friday is our executive producer, Haley Sperling. Hey, Haley.
Hi, Bianca. Happy last Friday News Roundup of the year.
Yes!
We're doing it. Woo!
We're doing it, and we're also doing it with our producer, Jade Iseri Ramos. Hey, Jade.
Where did the year go, Bianca?
Somewhere in my photo collection. I'll go look back and find out what did we do in the archives of the podcast. It really has gone fast, but I know all of us are excited for the holiday season here. I'm kicking us off this week. We've got news to get into, right? And something alarming. An institution of a restaurant sent off a flare this week, a hypothetical one, or metaphorical for that matter, that they might need to close due to lack of customers. And it's really sad to hear. And what I'm talking about is Buraka, Madison's sole Ethiopian restaurant located on Willie Street on the block with the Co-op and the Weary Traveler. It's in the former Jolly Bob's location, which is insane. It's beautiful. It's bright. And there was a piece in the State Journal, Samara Kulk Derby, detailing what's going on. And the owner, Marcos Regasa, said that this has been, quote, the worst time in my whole business, end quote, this past year. So for those of y'all who don't know Buraka's gorgeous reputation here in Madison, it's been around in some form for the past 33 years. It started as a food cart and then as a restaurant on State Street from 2000 to 2013. And then they had to move with the construction of Hub Madison, which was a mixed-use development. And I remember being really sad about that because when I first went there was on State Street. We'll talk about it. But yeah, now they're in the current location over on Willie Street and now apparently on the verge of closing, y'all. How are you feeling? How are you taking this news?
I'm feeling horrible about this. Like, I remember going to the Buraka food cart on Library Mall when I was a UW student. I also spent a lot of time, like you mentioned, Bianca, at their State Street location. And I remember when they had to close and move when the Hub was coming. And I was like, wait, I just found this place and I love it and I don't want it to leave. And I was excited that it was just going to be relocating to Willie Street, which as a UW student kind of felt like a world away, but I was like, it's still close. And also the food truck was still there. But this is devastating. I mean, I don't want to be like preemptive, right? Because they're not closed yet. There was a for lease sign in the window, which people were getting really nervous about. But I'm glad that the owner is being a little bit proactive about it. I'm glad that the State Journal is getting the word out. We put it in Madison Minutes too, I need to make a reservation. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and they've been in the spot the whole time that I've been here, right? So the whole time that I've been in Madison, they've been in the old Jolly Bob's. To me, that's just Buraka. And for me, the hard part is the location's kind of hard if you're not walking there. So many restaurants face that challenge in Madison when there isn't obvious parking, right? It's street parking or parking nearby and walking over.
I do think that's probably one of the things, because when I think about it, a lot of spots that are thriving, it's just easy parking. It's and our culture has become so fast. Everything needs to be instant and delivered, and it makes me sad. But I do want to say, as Haley said, that there was a lease up. I think that it still is probably up at this time because it's not clear what's going to happen. But yeah, Ragasa is talking with his landlord right now about a closing date, but is hesitant to do so because if business turns around with us getting the word out, then they can stick around. But this has been a really tough year after a series of challenges. Obviously, every restaurant has been tried over the pandemic. And he says that he's been struggling for the past few years. In that article, they also brought up Les Delicias de Agua in Atwood, which is a West African food restaurant, and asked if he thought that competition was a negative thing. He said, no, more West African food is a great thing. We want people to be developing this palate. And I remember hearing that Les Delicias de Agua was also struggling to get folks in, which is just kind of concerning. Like, do folks not know that African food is delicious and the spaces are colorful and delightful? Like, what is going on? And something that came to my mind was when Morris Ramen downtown was closing, that shocked people. Like, what do you mean? This is really arguably the best ramen in Madison. It's so good. It's so popular. And when I talked to Francesca Hong on the show back then, she said that her general sense over time was that folks in Madison actually valued Asian food differently than even burgers and fries, that they expected lower prices from her despite rising costs, and they couldn't keep up with customers' expectations there. So I'm just wondering, like, what are the reasons? Like we talked about parking. Is it that folks are in there and not thinking that they want to spend $17 on a dish? Because that's kind of the way of the world now. Like, I'm mad everywhere I go.
I'm broke everywhere I go. I mean, I agree with Francesca's statement wholeheartedly, is that I do think people value different types of foods at different dollar amounts. But what I also think is true is that I think people are kind of tightening their belts across the board. And like you said, just can't afford to go out in general, or are being a little bit more precious about where they're spending their money. We were actually having I was having a conversation with Cap Times food and culture editor Lindsay Christians at our holiday party, and she was talking about like the resurgence of steakhouses. And I was like, is this a recession indicator? Like, are people like saving their money so that they go out, maybe once a month to the big fancy steakhouse and like that's it, and like that's where they're spending their money at? Like, why is that coming back? And then these smaller, more global restaurants are having issues. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here and like being conspiratorial and connecting dots that aren't there, but that's just kind of like where my mind was going. Either way, though, I do think that we need to be supporting all of these restaurants. And the fact that, like you said, Bianca, like the fact that Madison has multiple African restaurants, like that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. And the fact that the owners see it that way is like, yes, more of that. And I've been to Les Delicias de Agua. Obviously, it's in my neighborhood. I would go running past there and it just smells delicious. And then I'd get done with my run. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to go get some food from there. It's so good.
And Buraka is delicious. I went there
absolutely.
Somewhat recently for a friend's birthday, and now I'm just like remiss. Like, I will be going there next week. I'm going to figure it out because I think I just maybe also forgot because of the parking situation. But that said, I've been to Weary Traveler a few times in the past couple of years. So I think folks in that area, you're going to start seeing our cars pile in the background, or people start taking the bus because, there are buses. But yeah, I really don't want Buraka to go away. I don't really want to live in Madison without a Buraka. It's the only Ethiopian restaurant. The only. I don't know if we could call ourselves a city without one. That's my point of view.
I feel like people here too are maybe this is a situation where Buraka, as we said, it's an institution. It's been around for over 30 years. And maybe people are just taking that for granted. Like, they have always been here. They will always be here. And that's clearly just not the case, right? Inflation, rising costs, they're hitting everyone hard. And so if Madison wants to keep Buraka around, we'll all have to step up.
They're an institution, but before this, I truly didn't know that they were an institution, right? Like, I knew that they had been here the whole time I'd been here, but I I didn't know this history before the story came to light. And so I think that there's this like disadvantage that older restaurants have where they're not splashy and flashy and aren't making like best new restaurant in Madison, right? And so people who are new to Madison don't hear about them and they don't recognize that this is like maybe old food to Madison, but could be new food to you.
I love that. CityCast Madison dubs Buraka Best of Madison. Go try Best of Madison Buraka. But actually, we're not just saying that. It's very good. Lots to think about. We really hope that they do well. We'll keep on this story. We hope that we get to report that they are thriving and sticking around. Go support them. Please, please, please. All right, we've got more news to get into this week. But before we do that, let's take a quick break. When it comes to raw breakfast sausage, Jones Dairy Farm is the brand. Made with simple ingredients, only pork, salt, and spices, they're clean and have incredible flavor. Their natural casing pork sausage links are snappy, juicy, and so delicious. They love them in an air fryer, making them easy to cook, crispy on the outside, and delectable on the inside. Do yourself a favor and give these a shot. Always made with distinctive quality and unmatched flavor you cannot find anywhere else. Jones, making breakfast better since 1889. Root to Rise helps Dane County high school students, especially those who haven't yet found joy in their education, get on a stronger path by supporting younger children in elementary classrooms across Dane County. Each day, they sit beside kids during reading and math, answering questions, offering encouragement, and building the kind of trusting connection children naturally respond to. Teachers notice it right away. They call these teens, quote, extra hands, extra voices, and extra leaders, and say classrooms feel more productive with them there. And for many students, this becomes a turning point. As one shared, Root to Rise changed my life. When I started, I didn't care about school and didn't think I'd graduate, but working with younger kids changed everything. I got more confident and I wanted to do better for them and for myself. If you believe in giving young people a strong path forward, please consider supporting Root to Rise's work. Go to roottorise.org. That's root, the number 2, rise.org. All right, we're back with a little bit a different type of heavy story. That said, important, and I've been really curious about what's happening with this one. Jade, you've got it. Tell us what you got.
Yeah, so the federal suit against Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan kicked off this week. She is accused of interfering with an ICE arrest at the Milwaukee County Courthouse in April. So what happened there was on April 18th, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents came to the Milwaukee County Courthouse looking specifically to arrest a man, Edward Flores Ruiz, who was appearing in front of Dugan that day. Dugan and another judge, Kristen Cervera, spoke to the agents in the hallway and told them that they needed to check in with the Chief Justice. Cervera led 4 of the 6 agents into the office while Dugan went back to her courtroom and led Flores Ruiz and his lawyers out a private door. Flores Ruiz was later arrested outside the courthouse, and he has since been deported. But this all made big, flashy headlines, especially when Dugan was arrested about a week later by FBI and is now facing charges of obstructing or impeding a proceeding and concealing an individual to prevent his discovery and arrest. Haley, when this first happened, you spoke with Daniel Bice of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and one of the things that came up in that conversation was that the court was trying to come up with a plan on how to deal with ICE arresting people in the courthouse. Do you remember what Daniel had said about that?
Well, I remember that we had talked about this becoming a much more common thing, and that this is a really lose-lose situation for people who are trying to navigate our insanely complex immigration system. And it's a lose in the fact because if you do not show up for these mandated court appointments, you get black marks against you. You are going to be deemed illegal. And then if you do show up, you risk the fact of ICE coming in and detaining you simply because you were trying to do what you were supposed to do, because you were trying to follow the rules. So it's a really tough situation. And we've been seeing this play out across the country. And I think it was really just kind of terrifying when we saw it happen in Milwaukee, very close to home. And when we have immigrant communities, again, who are just scared to live their everyday lives. Immigrant communities who are lawfully here, legally here, who are just scared to operate in our cities. And that's not an America that I want to be part of. That's really frustrating to me. And so I don't know what the solution here is, right, for them or for our justice system, right? It's like, do we just say no federal agents allowed in this federal courthouse? That feels wrong too. So where do we go from here?
And also, I assume for many judges, it's not a world they want to live in either, because it almost feels like a form of obstructing justice in and of itself if you're going to have this consequence just to show up to the courtroom.
Yeah. And as you guys are sort of laying this out, I think it's worth pointing out that there was a directive under President Joe Biden that prohibited immigration arrests at courthouses. But when President Trump came into office, he rescinded that policy. And so just like it has been forever, immigration has really been this political football, and it's showing up in the courthouses, which could be really scary and really frustrating. This whole story, this whole arrest of Dugan, this whole, everything that she did and it coming into the news also became very politically heated. And I think people really fall on two sides of how they feel like this trial should go based on the political sides that they're on. So let's talk about the trial. What is going on? I'm going to be really brief here because as we are recording, the trial is still ongoing. And I will also note that I am not at the federal courthouse in Milwaukee. And because the trial is happening in a federal courthouse, there is no recording allowed. I'm relying heavily on other media outlets, including the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, TMJ4 News, WPR, and WISN 12. So the trial started on Monday of this week. Federal prosecutors called nearly 20 witnesses over the first 3 days and rested on Wednesday. Notably here, they spoke to Cristela Cerveda, the other judge who spoke to the ICE agents with Dugan, and head Justice Carl Ashley. Those were two of the big witnesses that the jury heard from in the trial. And then on Thursday morning, which is when we were recording, the defense called their witnesses. And all in all, that only lasted about an hour. Just before 10 a.m., the defense rested and asked for the case to be dismissed, which is something that happens a lot of times in cases like this. But that dismissal was denied. And closing arguments are happening right now as we are recording, and the jury will deliberate after that. So I'm going to keep an eye on that throughout the rest of the day, and we will report back if the jury comes to a decision. What's at stake here? Obviously, we're talking about Dugan's guilt or innocence, but we're also talking about the precedent of whether or not courthouses should be allowed to prohibit ICE in their buildings. We sort of laid this out earlier, but the two arguments here are that federal officials say that it is safer to arrest people in courthouses because someone has already gone through a metal detector, and less people, in theory, will get involved in the arrest. And on the side of no arrest in courthouse is argument, as we laid out, that this could discourage people from showing up to court. And it could also prevent people from who are victims of crime from reporting these crimes depending on their immigration status. And truly, the ripple effects are yet to be seen.
Jade, thank you for laying that all out. Been wondering what was going to happen with this case when all of this went down. I think the whole world was watching. And I imagine people are tuning in again because many were arguing that this was such an assault on the judicial system and, vice versa, as you laid out. It's really complicated, and we'll continue to keep folks updated once we know more. And we've got more news to get into. And before we do that, let's take a quick break.
Hi, y'all. This is Jade from Several Hours Later. So the jury deliberated for more than 6 hours and came out with a decision just after 8:30 p.m. They decided guilty on the count of obstruction of a federal agency, which is a felony offense, and not guilty of concealing a wanted person, which is a misdemeanor. This is according to WISN 12 reporter Hannah Hilliard, who is live at the courthouse. And like I said earlier, the ripple effects of this case are yet to be seen, but CityCast Madison will be following the story as it develops.
And we're back, and Haley has some news about the Bowser-shaped building over on the south side.
Yes. There's some big plans in the works on the south side of Madison, specifically surrounding the area around the Alliant Energy Center and the Alliant itself. So let's dig into that. The Coliseum at the Alliant is due for a, quote, transformative renovation, unquote. And before we get too deep into this story, when I say the Coliseum, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Bianca, I think you do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it looks like something out of Mario Kart, but I don't know. Mario Brothers, whatever. But it's that huge building by the Alliant Center. It's hard to miss.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen monster truck rallies there.
Yes.
Jade's so cool.
I think they're literally advertising for a monster truck rally right now, which I want to go to. Anyways, yes, it's that big circular building that looks like, well, a coliseum. So
with like spikes, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. There's some iconic like aerial photos of it floating around, not hard to find. But earlier this year, back in September, Dane County, and I want to note, Dane County is the one who has authority over the Alliant, aka this is not a City of Madison project. Dane County put out a request for proposals to help pay for a major improvement to the 58-year-old Veterans Memorial Coliseum. That's its full legal name. Well, the issue here, the Coliseum, what's wrong with it? There's a few things. It's got a capacity of about 10,000 people. But as I said, it's almost 60 years old and it really shows. The county wants the space to be able to compete with other similarly sized venues in the region so it can actually make money, because right now the building is just not apparently fit to accommodate the needs of larger touring artists today, which is why we don't see them there. Have you guys ever been to a show at the Coliseum before, other than monster trucks?
I think I went to Deadmau5, the DJ there, like a long time ago. And by long time ago, I mean 2010 when I was a freshman in college. Skrillex, yes, I'm seeing a Badger Herald story about it. It did happen there. There were a lot of glow sticks and crazy antics. But yeah, I mean, it was dark, so I don't remember it looking crusty, but that was also 15 years ago.
Similarly to Bianca, the last show that I saw at the Coliseum was Dylan Francis and Zed back in 2015. And again, yeah, I think that was the last time that I had been to a show at the Alliant. That's not to say that they don't host plenty of events throughout the year. And of course, the biggest one is the World Dairy Expo that we know brings thousands of people and cows to the area for a massive event. Anyways, the Wisconsin State Journal reported earlier this year that an analysis conducted by a real estate consultant projected that the venue will, quote, lose more than $1 million per year by 2030 without renovations, but with renovations will generate more than $1 million in yearly profit, unquote. So there's a lot of real money at stake here for the county, for the area, for all of our city. Again, our county is facing a multi-million-dollar budget deficit. They could use $1 million a year extra. And this is a project that County Executive Melissa Agard has been very excited and adamant about. She said in a statement, quote, "The Coliseum renovation will be a catalyst for improving the entire Alliant Energy Center campus. This is one of the most exciting projects to come to our community in years, and it will spark new opportunities for growth, connection, and pride across Dane County," unquote. So fast forward to today, the county announced, and the State Journal again reported, that they only received one response to their RFP, to that request for proposals, and it came from none other than Madison's own Frank Productions, who y'all will know as the music promotion company now owned by the behemoth Live Nation that pretty much has a chokehold on the Madison music scene in the form of operating the Majestic, the Sylvie, High Noon, and Orpheum. So big name with big ideas. What are these big ideas? We don't really know yet. The county is being pretty tight-lipped about this proposal so far, saying that they are evaluating it and will release details of it all after, quote, that review is completed and the proposal is deemed viable. So it's exciting and a bit of a mystery.
I'm so excited about this possibility. Obviously, who ends up going in there could have a major impact of like how exciting it is for the rest of us if it could be a community space. But do y'all know about Wonder Bar that's like right over there next to the Coliseum on Olin Avenue? It is historic, and I feel like if something starts happening and folks start coming to the Coliseum, maybe Wonder Bar will be brought back to life. I don't know if you remember, but a few years back, there was fear that it was going to get taken down to build an 18-story housing development. And that got tabled indefinitely because preservationists and local folks spoke out to support keeping this. It's a castle-looking bar that y'all probably know this, was started in the Prohibition era by rivals of Al Capone. It was a literal gangster hangout. Like, it has such a cool history. And it was a gathering place in the 70s for, like, politicians and UW-Madison athletic stars. And there's this great history and these really cool architectural wonders of Madison. I feel like those are some of two of Madison's coolest buildings. So I hope something meaningful does come from it.
Yeah, I will say every time I drive by and I see the closed Coliseum Bar and Banquet, I get really sad. I'm like, that could be so cool if
it really could.
Yeah, if it was still open, but it permanently closed in 2021.
I remember there was a push at some point, too, for people to be like, let's save the Wonder Bar by picking it up and putting it somewhere else. And I was like, this is the most Madison solution we could possibly find. But they were like, this is insane. This is too expensive. It's not going to work.
Right. But if the Coliseum like starts getting energy again and people really are going in there, you could go to the bar before shows. You could go after. It could be something really gorgeous. Don't make it crazy corporate. Whoever's doing it, make it of the people and for the people, by the people. I'm just kidding. By whoever is going to put money towards it.
No, I think that's so real because right now the way the area is set up is so weird. It's not walkable. It's not drivable. It's not bikeable. Like it's very segmented. There are very big streets that cut across, the area, and it's just hard to navigate. So I really hope that, again, the city and the county can work in tandem, probably with a lot of private partners to help with the funding of this, to do some really intentional work out here.
Yeah.
And our friend at the Cap Times, Angiana Nardine, actually wrote a cover story for the paper this week outlining a whole bunch of stuff that's going on in the South Madison area. And a big theme of that story that she reported on is that while folks are excited about these developments, there are a lot of concerns that there's not enough coordination between the projects and not enough communication and cooperation with residents of the area. And again, while the Alliant is a county project, there are tons of city-backed projects in the work as well. And the South Madison area is a big priority for our city. For example, Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway's capital budget and the city's capital improvement plan propose updating Fire Station 6 with a modern facility. They want to create a new public health clinic, and they want to fund more affordable housing in the area, according to that Cap Times reporting. So residents of the area are particularly concerned that some of the new developments would drive up rent and increase gentrification. And this is especially because people of color with lower incomes make up much of Madison's South Side residents, and because it is one of the few places in Madison where you can actually find genuinely affordable housing. And for what it's worth, city leaders seem to be pretty actively aware of this and are really sort of like treading carefully and intentionally when considering developments in the South Madison area. So there's a lot in motion here. We've already seen a lot of development in the South Madison area, via the Black Business Hub and Centro Hispano's new location, the Urban League. There's a lot going on down there. There's a library down there. So it's safe to say that we're going to be watching this story and talking a lot about the South Side next year. And honestly, I would also love to hear from more people who live there, especially in that Alliant Energy area, in that South Park Street area. Give us a call, send us an email with your questions or thought about what's going on in your neighborhood. We want to hear from you. 608-318-3367.
We're super excited to hear your thoughts about the Coliseum, the South Side. This is going to be a really important conversation. We love hearing your thoughts. And we've got some membership shout outs. Folks have written in, which is very exciting. And we love hearing from you. Haley, what are some folks shouting out in the neighborhood this week?
Yes, as you guys may or may not know, one of the perks of being a CityCast Madison neighbor is the ability to give these shout outs right here on the podcast and in our newsletters. They can be to local businesses, organizations, people, just anyone who deserves some light. So this week, our first shout out comes from Sarah C. Sarah actually has 2 shout outs to share, which is allowed because there are really no rules here.
Neighbors do what they want.
Exactly. Neighbors get privilege. Sarah's first shout out is to Sherman Avenue United Methodist Church for being, quote, inclusive, kind, and works towards social justice. It's at the heart of the North Side. So shout out to Sherman Avenue United Methodist Church. That's a good one. And her second shout out is to Table Wine over on Atwood Avenue. She says they have delicious options, personalized recommendations, and great classes. So shout out to Table Wine. I can say I've been there. Have y'all been to Table Wine?
It's super bikeable from where I'm at, and they have bike bennies. So bike over, have a glass of wine, get a little discount on your glass of wine.
I'm glad Sarah said this because I frankly pass it all the time and think, that looks cute, but I have never been in. So now I have a reason, and I love wine. So Table Wine.
It is super cute. And hot tip, in the summer, they have like a little patio area that you can sit on and enjoy a glass of wine.
Oh my gosh, right out front?
It's right next to the building. So it's it's not right on the street, which is nice. So you're kind of secluded and it feels, I don't know, it's like European, right? You're sitting out there having a glass of wine, maybe a flight of wine. It's fun. It's a good time.
That's a hot tip.
Alrighty, our next shout out comes from Sue J. She is shining some light on Just Dane, which supports people impacted by the criminal justice system through practical programs like Just Bakery, which happens to be Sue's holiday pie source. So shout out to Just Dane doing the work. Shout out to Sue for supporting this organization as well. And shout out to the Just Bakery for making some awesome pies.
I've had really good cookies from Just Bakery too.
I love all of our shout outs. Plus, we've got some shout outs of our own, aka we've got some new members to thank. Welcome to the neighborhood, David G, Dawn L, Zabdiel M, and Caroline F. Zabdiel, I hope I said your name right. If it's Zabdiel, either way, beautiful name. Thank you for joining. Thank you to all of our neighbors. We're so happy to have you and are thankful for your support. And you heard it already here, and we're going to say it again. If you want to join our neighborhood, head to membership.citycast.fm. And Jade, you got the last story of the day. We're headed to our lakes that are looking ice cold.
Yeah. I kind of have a fun end of the show story for us, which is, are the lakes frozen or not? This is coming from the Wisconsin State Climatology Office, which say that Lake Wingra is frozen. It froze on December 1st.
Wow.
Yeah. She was early.
Weeks ago.
Weeks ago. Lake Monona froze on December 12th. So
Our
that's
girl.
frozen. Yeah. She's looking nice right now. She's like, there's no snow on her. Beautiful. But Lake Mendota is still open. So not yet fully frozen over. And the way they determine that is like whether or not it's like you could like take an ice boat across the whole lake. You know what I mean? So if you can't get your ice boat all the way across because it's going to sink in the water or it's going to hit water, then
Not frozen.
Not frozen. And this is just probably like a good time for me to remind folks that be really cautious if you're going out on the ice. Make sure that you have the right gear that you need, and that you are using your brain and research and making sure that you're not putting yourself in a dangerous situation, because people have been pulled out of the ice already this year.
Use your brain. That is a hot tip. Thank you, Jade.
Yeah, and I think, one of the other things, Bianca, you had a conversation a couple years back with a ice fisher who gave the idea that if you don't see other people on the ice, it's probably not necessarily safe ice.
Sure. Yeah, I almost want folks also to look up like what to do if you fall into the ice.
Yes.
I feel a little bit better. First of all, don't go. Secondly, if you go, be careful. And if something does happen, first thought is do not panic. But yeah, go look up a video. And yeah, I've seen lots of ice fishermen out already. And Haley, you said that you had a cool story.
Yes. I mean, we've been talking about John Nolan traffic for a long time. I got stuck on some John Nolan traffic heading back from the west side, and I was admiring the view of the Capitol, and then I look to my right and I see these two guys out there ice fishing, and one of them pulled up a fish, and I was like, oh my God, like it's happening right now. He did it. Like I wanted to like roll down my window and like cheer for him, because it was a long boy, like, I mean, or girl, I don't know. It was a big fish. And I was like, look at you go. That's so cool. I never really understood ice fishing until I saw it happen. And I saw them getting out their phones. They're taking the selfies with the fish. And I was like, I bet that's going on, someone's Tinder profile. I loved it. It was fun. It was cool to see.
I love how that says how slow John Nolan is going. Yeah. That you were able to sit amongst the ice fishermen to catch them catching a fish.
I felt their joy, and that got me through the traffic of the day.
It's so funny. So speaking of ice that is more safe to be on, the city has opened several of its ice rinks, kinda. They started opening them this week, but then, as you guys are aware, we're kind of getting warmer weather. Things are looking a little melty, so they are asking people to stay off the ice through today, and staff is going to do some inspections of the ice rinks that have opened, so that people can start getting out there, hopefully on Saturday this weekend. TBD though on the weather. You know how she likes to show up.
We can safely say you can go on the ice skating rinks that are approved. We recommend that.
Yeah, and check the city's website, because they tell you whether or not things are closed and when rentals are available if you need to borrow some skates.
Well, I'm so happy. This was a wonderful last Friday News Roundup of the year. We're going to skate away on that beautiful note. Thanks for rounding up the news with me this week, Haley Sperling.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a year of roundups. Thanks, Bianca.
That it has. And Jade Isiri Ramos, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bianca.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. We're produced by Jade Isiri Ramos with help this week from Elizabeth Kama and Adrian Gonzalez. Haley Sperling is our executive producer. Our theme music is by Carl Christensen. Additional music this week by Drew Shepard, Anders Fabb, and Donna from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. Rob Thomas is our newsletter editor. You can always get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to Madison Minutes. And don't forget, you can support the show and get great neighbor perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this episode with someone who likes ice skating, African food, and cool architecture? Heck, that sounds like good weekend plans. All right, see you back here Monday morning with more news from around the city. Until then, thanks for listening and have a great weekend.